Hello everyone, welcome. Thank you all for being here. The couple announcements. I wanted to remind everyone that our WESAC celebration, which is Buddha's birthday, will be, although the actual full moon in Taurus will be on May 1st, we will celebrate it on the following Sunday on May 3rd from 9 a.m. to 6 p.m. Eastern Standard Time. I will leave a link in the bottom of the video for anybody that's desiring to participate. And unlike other WESAC and we have been celebrating WESAC since 2008, but unlike other WESAC where I have always, it's been more about you, all of you joining and connecting and praying and actually receiving blessings, channeling, upgrade, and etc., etc. This WESAC is very different. The world is in crisis, and the theme this year for WESAC is Peace to the World. So to that end, I have asked all my co-creators, artists, speakers, and so on and so forth. I have asked everyone to basically focus on that theme. Now, typically what I do is that I channel ahead of time what the topics are going to be from hour to hour to hour. In this instance, I don't even have a program set up yet. I am just allowing the speakers to come in and create their own piece of the program. What I'm saying is the following. And I have sent you through the invites that I sent you for the WESAC and also on the website, there are prayers for us to become neutral. One of the reasons why the world is in chaos, it's because of planetary karma. And it may be that at a deep subconscious level, we are angry about certain things. We feel discontent. We feel agitated about certain issues, and that's contributing to the overall collective energy that's bringing war to the world. So I'm asking everyone to become neutral, and I give you prayers to begin with, before the WESAC arrives. So you should be saying those daily. And in addition to that, when you sign up, I will be immediately sending you the next day a series of prayers to repeat on a daily basis, about 9 prayers, to allow you to become more and more neutral. Those prayers and others will be repeated together during the WESAC celebration. And toward the end of the WESAC, after all the ceremonies and everything had been done, I think the channeling is going to be, to some level, less than they have been before. It will be more about prayers and intention setting to bring peace to the world. And at the end, we're going to do a group merger situation where we're going to go into the blessed field and ask the blessed field for peace to the world. So that's what we're intending to do for WESAC on the 3rd. As you know, what's happening around us is kind of dire. We need to contribute. We're not the only individuals that are doing this. There are people all over the world that are praying for peace as well. We need to add all light to their light. So what I want to do now is that I want to talk a little bit about the video from Federico Fagin that I had sent to all of you. The link will be found also in the video description. So Federico Fagin is a Silicon Valley hero. He created the first circuit board. He is technology and is a scientist and all that and so on and so forth. And he created multiple companies. But he found himself in a place of discontent at some point in his life in the 1990s. And he was so trying to figure out why he was so unhappy, although in the world he had all the success in the world. He had 3 companies. He should have been happy. And in the search for that happiness, he had an experience one evening where he felt light and love busting out from his chest. And then the light and the love suddenly a physical light, scintillating light, dissipated into the room, and he had an incredible experience for somebody who measures everything, creates circuit board that's very physical and very what he called classical model. He had the experience that his consciousness, when the light then dispersed into the room and went into everything, he had the experience that his consciousness was in multiple places at the same time. In his body, conscious, but at the same time dispersed in the room. And that changed his life. To my mind, this was his breakthrough or glass ceiling moment that he punctured through. He punctured through the Zerapin to achieve the first level of ascension. And that changed the course of his life. And he spent the next 30 years trying to figure out where consciousness resides. Now, before I get into the detail, and it's going to connect back to WISAC and our intention in a second, but I need to explain a few things about the video in broad terms. When we look at the physical reality, we see everything as solid, okay? Our senses are providing us, if I walk into the table, I can feel it, it will hit me. If I walk into a wall, I will feel it, the concussion. There are certain things, there are limits to the physical world. But at an atomic level, when you look at an electron under an electron microscope, when you look at it, the electron is a little thing that's there, that's vibrating, and one moment it's there, the next moment, poof, it disappears, and it reappears again. It disappears, and it reappears again. At that level, at the quantum level, scientists are saying that there is no such thing as anything solid. What you have is that the electron, and for that matter, anything that's physical, exists in a field. Even for our own physical body, the more than 50 trillion cells in our body exists in a field. And the field allows, at moment, things to precipitate out and show up in physical reality for a moment, and it can dissipate and go back into the field again. Okay? And so he's saying that, and by the way, everything he's saying, I've been trying to teach you. Not elegantly acting like him, not perfectly like him. In fact, I have admitted multiple times in the past, since 2008, that I'm struggling trying to explain to you what I'm experiencing. And this is why I love the video, because it's giving me a syntax, a vocabulary to be able to explain to you what I've been trying to tell you for the past, since 2008. So what he's saying, he talks about the quantum field, we talk about the blessed field. It's the same thing. Okay? So what he's saying is that the actual object that we're looking at are not solid. They are actually in part of a field. Now, there was a famous experiment called the double slit experiment. I'm going to simplify it for you. Scientists were trying to measure how photon, which is the simple particle of light that they can measure, that has a mass to it, they were bombarding it to this kind of metal or lead shield with two slits on it, and there was a distance, and behind the distance there was a photographic membrane, and under different conditions, temperature, etc., they were measuring how the photon was passing through these two slits and what kind of pattern it was registering on the photographic membrane. And one day they left the machine on, they went out of their lab. When they came back, instead of observing the pattern they were observing, which was a bad particle, a physical object hitting the membrane, they discovered that it looked like a wave. Now, a wave creates a different pattern. A wave is not solid, it doesn't have any mass, it's a vibration, it's a frequency. It's not the same thing as a mass. So they were puzzled. They kept putting cameras behind the lead shield. But they did the experiment all kinds of different ways, and what they concluded is that it was the expectation of the observer that determine whether they witness a wave or a particle. So the conclusion of the double slit experiment is that the observer and the observed are intricately linked. What you expect to see as the observer is what will manifest. Now, this is powerful for science to say this. And the method in which the observer influences what the outcome is very difficult for science to prove. Scientifically, and Federico talks about this, it's called a wave function collapse. Okay? It means that in the quantum field, because in the quantum world, in the blessed field, there's nothing is solid. Everything exists as endless possibilities, meaning that anything that you can think of, okay? Let's say, for example, you have a lack of some kind, and you go into the field with the lack, and you're seeking resolution for the lack. Lack of health, lack of happiness, lack of joy, whatever it is that the lack is. There is not just one linear thing that the blessed field will bring you to resolve the problem. There is actually an infinite numbers of solutions set that potentially could show up. So in the quantum field or in the blessed field, it's a field of endless possibilities, whereas in the physical world, everything is solid and linear. But what precipitates, for example, if I come to the blessed field and ask for a lack of health and I'm trying to seek healing, or lack of money, or whatever it is lack I have, lack of happiness, lack of joy, lack of love, I'm seeking it. As I'm seeking it, the blessed field will show up with an array, a vast array of solution set. And for whatever reason, the blessed field will select one of them and will create a wave function collapse, meaning one of them will precipitate and drop into the 3D world and manifest for you. Okay? And it's not, I can tell you from my own personal experience that it's not you that's choosing it. This is why he kept saying free will doesn't really exist. It's not you that actually chooses. When I go in the blessed field, for example, and I have, let's say, for example, and a lot of time, I'm not even cognizant that I have a lack. Sometimes the lack is subconscious. Okay? I do the torsion field. After the torsion field is done, and I am now in a quantum state. I am now connected to the blessed field. I am so elevated, I am aware that I exist in my physical body, and I also exist outside of myself, inside the torsion field. And I'm very aware of this. Okay? When I'm in that state, the field will find what is unresolved and conflicted inside of me, and then will gradually drop the solution set to me. Sometimes I don't expect it, and it comes fast, like a wave in a seashore. Something just hit me, and it's a complete knowing, and it's a whisper. It's not loud. The loud voice is not of God. It's a tiny, tiny whisper. It's a wave, and it hits me. And when it hits me, I'm like, oh, there was an insight, a breakthrough. Okay? And that breakthrough comes in, and I usually have a pen and paper, or I have my phone next to me, and I type it on the phone on the notes. I just have to put something down very quickly to remind me, because I could be doing the 6th or the 7th torsion field when these breakthroughs begin to happen. And I'm not finished with the torsion field, so I put a quick note and I put everything down, I go back and continue what I'm doing. Right? And the reason I'm saying this is that the field itself, the concept that Federico was talking about, and I'm so glad that he described it. I knew this in my bones, but I couldn't find a way to describe it. He talks about what he called part whole. That if you are, think of the human cells, when the egg gets fertilized, that one cell has a genome in it. That genome, when the cell replicate, get multiplied until the entire human body is formed. 50 trillion plus cells later, the same genome exists in all the parts. So the entire whole exists in every part. So he's describing how the blessed field is created in the exact same way. Each one of us is part whole, and think of the whole as God, as a super consciousness. We are part, or the blessed field, however you want to call it. We are part whole of that collective. Okay? So, and if that is the case, then when I come in and I have a problem, I have an issue, I have a lack of some kind that I'm seeking solution for, the blessed field will then, I bring in, for example, the intention, the brief general intention related around the idea of finding a solution set for whatever that thing is. Okay? I am, let's say I want to restart my garden. When should I start planting? Something like that. Okay? And then suddenly, out of nowhere, the solution set shows up, and it's not me that's creating it. I'm going to give you an example that I've used before. I've shared with you multiple times already that at some point in the past, going way back more than 10, 15 years ago, Sylvia was stuck in Atlanta after 3 days of trying to return back to New York on standby. She used to work for the airline. She traveled standby. So 3 days. On the third day, she calls me. She said, every day I have to return back to my friend's house because I can't get a flight. All the flights are booked. I can't get a flight. I am now in a list. I'm number 48. Could you help me out and figure out a way for me to get in that plane? I said to her, next thing I said to her, did you do the torsion field? She said, no, I didn't even think about it. I said, okay, be quiet. I said, stay quiet for a second. Let me do the torsion field on your behalf. And all I was thinking, God brings Sylvia home. That's all I was thinking. And then I got involved and I asked the guardian to come in around Sylvia. I could hear on the phone the announcement being made, all the gates and the flights and all of that, all the announcement. But I was busy holding space for her, for the guardian to create the torsion field around her. The only thought as I began to do this was bring Sylvia home. I was not even holding it for too long. I just barely pushed that thought out. I'm being completely candid and honest with you. I just pushed that thought out. And I was following now the guardian. First guardian creates a torsion field. And then I see it being created and all around her. The donut gets done. Second guardian comes in from the top. And then clockwise rotating, create the second torsion field. Third torsion field. By the time we get to the sixth torsion field, she said, wait a minute, Pierre, I gotta go. They're making an announcement. I gotta go. I'll call you back. She hung up the phone. I don't know what happened. She hung up the phone. 15 minutes later, she called me. She said, I'm in the plane, Pierre. We're taxiing out. Bless your holy name. I said, what do you mean? What happened? She said, I don't know. She said, everyone that was in standby is in the plane and everyone is on their way to New York. Now, I have to tell you, this played and messed up my head. Because initially, you see, I made no, for me, it was like blinking my eyelid. There was so little effort on my part. Because when you're doing the torsion field, you're witnessing it. You're not pushing it, you're not creating it. The guardians are creating it. You're just following along. And because of this, I didn't have to push energy and force anything or create anything. And by the time I got to the sixth guardian, the wave function class was created. Not by me, but by the whole that I belong into. And that Celidia belongs to. So whose will was this to create this? Not my will, but God's will. Do you understand what I'm saying? And it messed up my mind, because in the light community, I'm being told the exact opposite by all kinds of teachers, and for years and years, telling me that in order for you to create something, you have to see it clearly, you have to create vision board, you have to visualize it, you have to desire it. It was nothing like this. You bring a brief seed, a kernel of an idea, a mustard seed of an idea. You just bring a tiny bit. And then you surrender it and let the blessed field do the wave function. All of that heavy work is not done by you. I keep telling you this all the time, that what I do is so easy, I feel like sometimes I'm just blinking my eyelid. When I do a healing, when I do a hands-on healing or a remote healing for somebody, I am actually healed myself. This is really incredible, because I'm not making the selection. I could not, in my wildest imagination, had figured out how it was going to work out. All I knew is that when I said, let me do a torsion field, I knew that there was a solution set. I knew that God was going to figure out a way for her to get to New York. I didn't know how, but I knew it with certainty. When I am being asked by a student to pray for them, for whatever the situation, in financial, healing, whatever the situation may be, okay? I don't have that kind of power. And that's what you have to realize when you're asking, when somebody asks you to pray for them. You don't have that kind of power to do any of it. If you think you have that kind of power, your ego is in the way. It's your will. It's not God's will. You're not connected to the blessed field. You're not allowed. The wave function collapse will not happen. Something will happen, but it will be through your own effort, and it will create karma. It will cause you all kinds of problems. I'm trying to teach you to push the easy button. To make it so effortless that all of a sudden it just shows up. It's not really complicated. In fact, it is so simple that I'm having difficulty explaining it. The field will decide. And by the way, there was an endless number of ways in which the field could have brought Celidia home. But the field selected what? A solution set that she was willing to accept. Because there is a connection also, because you're interceding for somebody. There's a connection also with their shame and their undeservedness. I have done multiple prayer requests for so many people, and a lot of time they have an amelioration, but they don't have an instantaneous repair. Whereas I have multiple times when I'm doing prayer requests for people, the moment the request is done, like Celidia, instantaneously everything is manifested. And the difference between the two, the individual that I'm doing the healing for, or I'm doing the request, the intercession for, they are not prepared because of their shame at that moment to receive the immediate, because in all, the field doesn't care. The field will bring you a solution set that you're ready to accept. If you feel I'm undeserving, I need to suffer some more, I need to have more difficulty, that's the solution set that the field will bring to you. If you feel I'm deserving of the healing now and immediately, like this, a snap, it's created. So you, the person you're interceding for, or in some instances, it's myself. Sometimes I'm praying, I'm asking something for me. Right? The healing sometimes it's not external to me. Sometimes it's something in my life that I'm trying to resolve. It could be an internal subconscious conflict. It could be a program. It could be a lack of some kind, and I'm trying to resolve it. Or me not being neutral, I'm trying to figure out a way for me to become neutral to certain things and not let them bother me anymore and not let them occupy space in my consciousness. And as I'm doing this, it will give me a solution set that matches the degree of surrender that I am in. If I want to control everything, it will limit what lands. I know this so well that when I'm doing intervention and prayer for somebody, when the prayer is done, when the person responds, but I can't believe I don't feel XYZ anymore. When that happens, the issue will be back in a week. Whereas when the person gets up and says, thank you for the blessings, I am healed. I've had that happen when the person gets up immediately and says, I am healed. Or they say, God listened to you. I don't know what you're doing, but God listens to you because I am in a different place now. So I want you to understand this, and I want you to realize that the blessed field will select the solution set that matches the degree of attachment. I remember years later when I was talking to Sylvia privately about this again, we were going over the same incident, and this is like almost 10 years later, and I said to her, you know, there is a somewhere in the blessed field, while I was doing the torsion field for you, that the field would have bilocated you in an instant with your suitcase in your driveway. She said, Pierre, I would have dropped to the floor and died. My heart would have stopped. I would not be able to accept this. I said, I know that's why the field selected this other solution set for you. But did I do it? Not really. I brought in a kernel of an idea, a little seed, and I gave it to the blessed field to take over. So when somebody asks me for intercession for something that seems extremely complicated and difficult, I don't know what the blessed field is going to do. And I'm trying to train you so that now that you're stepping up to the plate and you're connecting in big ways, passing the threshold and breaking the Zerapin and going into ascendance, that you know how to navigate the territory. Because the rules are not the same as the one in the 3D. They are not the same. And if you think you're doing it, it's gonna mess with your mind, because you're gonna realize, wait a minute, I desire this, but how? And a lot of time, for example, it's like people, it's connection. See, let's say I'm doing the prayer for myself and I'm asking for a new job or whatever, and all of a sudden, out of nowhere, I step out of my apartment and somebody walks right up to me. I was looking for you because, and the job lands in my lap, or a phone call comes out of nowhere. People I have not seen in 20 years, I just bump right into them. And it initiates something for exactly what I was asking for. But in my mind, all I was asking, I have this lack, I need this lack to be fulfilled. I put the seed in. How the universe comes with a solution set is none of my business. It's not for me to figure out. In fact, I don't have that kind of power. The more you know this, when you go into the blessed field with an ideal and a request, the more you know you have to surrender into God and let God take over, the more immediate the solution set will be. What is it that the Bible said over and over again? Thy will be done. Not my will. Thy will be done. So Federico talks about this in the video over and over again as the wave function collapse as being an illusion, a lie. Because we think it's our free will, but it's not a free will. It's the free will of a part. And the part brings that information to the blessed field. And that vastness, that's infinity times infinity, brings a solution set. That's in the general family of your request. It will never match exactly what you were asking for. It will be in the general family of it. And again, it gives you humility because you realize, I don't have the power. And so many times people have complimented me. You have so much. Like I have somebody contacting me from online and telling me, you have all this power. I don't have any power. What are you talking about? I don't have any powers. The only ability I have is that I know how to connect to the blessed field. That's it. Now I want to talk a little bit more about how to actually increase the probability, because again, quantum or blessed field connection is probability. It's potential for manifestation. It's endless potential for manifestation. The probability of one of them manifesting will increase. And the term that Federico and the interviewer use over and over again, it's called the rules of large numbers. And I'm going to use WISAC as an example. So if I were to go to WISAC and request peace on earth, there's 8 billion people on earth, and God knows how many of them have acrimony and have battle and conflict in their heart and all trying to fight with people, creating a toxic group body that's creating war. And I'm one person. And I'm going into the blessed field and I'm making that tiny request, peace to the world. My energy and my request will get lost in the shuffle of toxicity that exists in the collective ether of 8 billion people who are not at rest, who are not in neutrality. So the way you increase the potential for the manifestation is that you then ask, you bring more people that are like you. And that's why I've asked all of you who are coming to WISAC to say the special Ho'oponopono prayer that I've sent to you. And when you sign up, I will send you more prayers to repeat them over and over again on a daily basis so that we can be all neutral. And in the end of the day at WISAC, in the afternoon before we close, we're going to do a group merger and connection. And together we're going to go in the blessed field in large number to request from God peace to the world and let the blessed field take over. Now, as I said, we are not the only people who are praying for peace. There are Buddhist priests, there are people all over the world, Catholic, you name it, the religion, you name the faith, there are people all over the world who are asking for this. We're going to add all light to everyone else. Now, I want to add one more example of the rule of large numbers. I have shared with you the story from the Kabbalah, from the Zohar, about how Moses separated the Red Sea, where he had 8 million Jews, 3 million Jews with him, and the column of fire was blocking Pharaoh that was pursuing them behind them. And he knew by the morning Pharaoh was going to, the column of fire was going to dissipate and Pharaoh was going to get to them. So they were at the edge of the Red Sea, and he spoke with God and asked God, what should we do? And God said to him, walk in the water. When he returned back from the connection and he told his people, the 3 million that were with him, this is what God said. Multiple of them tried to lynch him. They were saying to him, we were slaves in Egypt, but Pharaoh was not trying to kill us. Now Pharaoh is going to kill us. You took us here to have us killed. But he said, no, you don't understand. God is saying we have the ability to create the miracle. So during the night, the evening and the night, he took 3 million people and guided them into a state of complete certainty. Through prayers, through Kabbalistic rituals and meditation, took them into a state of complete certainty. So in the morning, as the sun, the column of fire is dissipating and the sun is rising, the light is coming across the horizon, one young man named Makshoni started moving, guiding up. Everybody is in silent, in complete certainty that they will, and the certainty and what they were asking, help us find safe passage. Help us find safe passage. Okay? And as this was going on, Makshoni got up. He's a teenager, young Jewish teenager. And he started walking in the water. The water is in his knee. He keeps walking. He doesn't know why he has to walk, but Spirit is guiding him. Walk in the water. Everybody is watching him as a witness, but all of them are in sync with him. And as the water kept increasing by his chest, at his shoulder, when the water got in his mouth, the water separated. The sea separated in half. Now the Kabbalah and the Zohar says something extraordinary after this. It is not Moses who separated the Red Sea. It is the collective consciousness of 3 million people in certainty that split and separated the Red Sea. And more importantly, when that happened, every body of water on the planet split in half. This is why we're doing the work of the 144,000. Because there needs to be a critical mass so that the rule of large numbers will operate. And this is why group work actually, I've been doing group work since I was 17 years old. I didn't know. I came from this life popping out of my mother's womb wanting to do this. I've been doing it for multiple lifetimes. And so what I'm saying is that this idea, and here's the other additional thing that they said in the Kabbalah as well. Physical and natural laws obey and can be overruled by consciousness. And I'm going to go further. If at a quantum level, everything keeps popping in and out of existence all the time, and nothing is really solid, it means the reason why we are all experiencing 3D as solid is because 8 million of us have made a subconscious agreement that that's what we want. And if enough of us, if 10% of the population of the planet decide, which is about 800,000, that we want something else, it will be created. The rules of large numbers. To ascend and to evolve and grow alone is one thing. And this is something it took me multiple lifetimes to understand, because I tried to do this alone in multiple past lives, and I failed. And in this lifetime, I've decided I was going to link my ascension to all of you. And this is what I've done in this lifetime. I will not completely ascend until all of you have ascended. And as it stands now, many of you are breaking the glass ceiling and the threshold, or crossing over back and forth all the time. It's not just one or two people now, there are multiple of you. So think of the idea and the concept of what we want to create collectively. And of course, this WISAC is nothing more than a training wheel to what's going to happen at 2030 when we cross the galactic equator. We need to learn to a smaller event how to stand together and how to go together into the blessed field and make these requests. Again, a seed of an idea, a kernel. If you remember when Gandalf was on the bridge of Khazad-dûm in The Lord of the Ring, in the first book, and the Balrog was coming, the demon was coming across the bridge. And he confronted the demon by saying all of this accolade. I am the secret, I'm a servant of the secret light. I'm a servant of the light of Adol will not avail me. And he made this long speech, right? And then when the demon was still trying to move, he just struck the staff is his Antakarana. It's an externalization for the entire column that we're doing all the way back to the 12th guardian. 7 chakra, then chakras 8 to chakra 15, then chakra 16 to chakra 22, all the way back to God. The staff is a physical representation of this. In ceremonial magic, it's called a driving rod. And when he struck it down, what did he say? You shall not pass. And he struck it down. And what happened next? Half of the bridge where the demon was fell through. It's a seed of an idea. And the field that you're connected to, because that's where your soul is. The soul, according to Federico Fagin, the soul is not in the physical body. The physical body helps us experience what he calls qualia, or feelings and emotion, which cannot be described by chemical formulas or mathematical formulas. How do you describe love in mathematics to somebody? How do you describe joy? How do you describe compassion or mercy? Or, for that matter, fear or anger? You can't. You can't describe it. They may say it's an enzyme, it's a chemical this, it's a peptide that gets released and that does this, but it doesn't describe it. Okay? But he goes even further. He says the qualia and the feeling that you're getting The meaning of that feeling exists in the blessed field. It exists in the quantum field. So that the meaning of it, and it will mean something. I'm trying to. When you have an experience of expansion, where your consciousness, and I've said this over, I'm going to repeat it again. Ascension is not just sitting next to Kuan Yin and Master Jesus and Ascended Master. If that's not what the experience is. The initial breakthrough is that you're energetically in multiple places at the same time. Meaning you're in your physical body and you're energetically outside of it simultaneously. And you're cognizant that all of it is you. The atoms, the molecules, as you're doing the torsion field technology, you continue to do it. I told you before, where your seat is created, that you're doing the practice. That seat and that entire environment in your home will change. The atom, the molecules, they will begin to sing to you. Right now, I and multiple other people in the group are having that same issue as well. It's not a problem, but an experience, very specific experience. I hear music. I hear all kinds of sound all the time. Sometimes when I'm walking out and I hear it, I think it's my phone. My phone is locked. I pick up my phone out of my pocket. I'm looking at it and I'm like, but the phone is locked. I think I'm accidentally turning on some sort of like music in the background. But I'm hearing sound. When you're hearing the ringing in the ear, what happens is that after a while, the atoms and the molecules all around you, where your consciousness, where you're aware now that your consciousness is everywhere, it projects out and you can feel an activation. The pitch in your ear and the vibration it's creating, everything, every atom, every molecule outside of your body is doing the same thing. They are agitated or they are activated at the same frequency. It happened to me for years before I finally understood what was happening. Again, it's remembering something that has happened to me in millions, if not billions of years. So when your consciousness is moving through this, and you're seeing and experiencing all kinds of things, right? You're seeing you're seeing, for example, when you have an experience of a download, something comes for you, and there's an insight that comes in. That insight and that information that comes in is a zip file. And that's the only way I can explain it. Because the meaning at the moment you get it will not be the same meaning 3 years from now. It will continue to extract and expand. That same flash of a moment where you have an insight that the field brings you. You think, a lot of people think, again, Ascension is we romanticize the whole thing. We think it's omniscience. We know everything. It's not true. You're part whole. If at any moment you need to know something, the whole, which is God, will give you instant access to information. It will come to you. But what comes to you will continue to extract over multiple periods. There is information, for example, the torsion field technology that came to me in 2008, not 2028, 2008. That technology, I am still extracting it.
When Federico Fagin in the 1990 had that experience of seeing light coming from his chest and expanding out, he spent the next 30 years, even now, still trying to understand all the parts that are connected to it. You go back, you meditate, and you try to understand it, and then you see something you didn't see before. I thought initially when I saw the torsion, when the Guardian came in, that it was one Guardian for, when the first torsion field came in, it was the first Guardian, and it was one person. It took me something like 5 years to realize there were actually 12 filaments. It was actually 12 already ascended and neutral beings in the fourth dimension that came in together, almost like their antakarana, or the shaft of their ascended column, braided together as one. It took me 4 to 5 years to realize this. And this is true of all the Guardians. Every time a new torsion field gets created, we say one Guardian, second, third. It's not just one. It's multiple. It's a minimum of 12. So the information that you're getting today, the insight, the breakthrough, will continue to expand. It's not that the first information I received was incorrect. It's just that it continued to expand and grow. The same way God is trying to know itself. And Federico is very deep in what he's saying. The proposal for consciousness that he's proposing is that he's saying 3 things, the 3 postulates that he's making. That the blessed field is dynamic, meaning it's never the same. It's perpetually changing. I forgot the second postulate. And the third one that he's mentioning is that it's trying to know itself. It's trying to know itself. So it's seeking meaning. It's seeking meaning. So when we have this connection and you get more insight into something that you received years ago, months ago, yesterday, as you try to qualify it, to understand it, to go deeper, to see, to get the meaning, and the meaning can only come from your connection to the blessed field. Not in the physical body, not in the brain, but outside of it. In spirit. And that meaning for you, for me, for all of us, is not the same. When I do the torsion field, I get a very specific energy signature or something that I understand, first Guardian, second, third, all the way to the 12th Guardian. But the understanding that I have, the qualia, and the meaning that it creates for me is going to be different for you, and for you. It's not going to be the same. There are certain things that are going to be crossed over, that are going to be the same. But for the most part, it will not be the same. Each one of us are a unique manifestation of God. And as a unique manifestation of God, I will understand the torsion field differently. Right? Each one of us will understand it differently. Each one of us will understand it differently. And because we're going to understand it differently, each one of us will have different kind of experiences. Because the connection and the depth and what I have and how I am connected to God, it's very different from you, from the next person, and from and for anybody else in the entire universe, because God is infinite. One can think of God as, if you have a balloon or a volume, and you are in the center of it, every direction, there's an endless number of directions, and every direction is a reflection of God seeking to know itself, and it creates a part of the whole. And all of the meaning in all of the direction, the infinite number of direction, are collected in the blessed field. And that information is there for any part to access at any time. God is constantly learning through us. Any questions, any comments?
Well, every time you talk about this, I feel like I know better what infinity times infinity means. It's just like, wow.
It's very deep stuff. Think about it for a second. God
Mhm.
is, through each one of us, God is trying to learn.
Yeah.
As we seek and know and have meaning, that meaning, it feeds God back. The blessed field know itself in a deeper level. And as we struggle to get to know something, God is trying to figure it out through us. And when we have the breakthrough, the aha moment, and the like, oh, I got the meaning. God knows it too. And I'm going to say something even deeper. The universe does not give you what you want, but what you need. I would not be as smart as you think I am if it wasn't for the fact that I needed to teach this to you. Because if I was not sharing, I would be seated in a corner having a boring life. You can feel my excitement and how enthused I am about this. It's because I'm fulfilling a purpose. I'm fulfilling a promise. And if I did not follow my intuition and do this, I would be completely bored somewhere else. I may not have been in the planet right now. Because when you're not doing what you're supposed to, spirit can take you out. Any questions, any comments? The last thing I want to discuss before we go into meditation, I want to talk about how, and Federico talks about this, it's very hard to explain to somebody what an inner state of communication between you and the blessed field is. Because it's so intimate and so personal that you cannot find the right words, or it takes a long time to figure out a way to explain it to someone else. What, 2008 until 2026, right? I've been trying to explain this. And sometimes people think you're repeating things. You're not repeating them. People are not getting what you're trying to say. And by you saying it in a different way, eventually it clicks and people say, oh, I got it. I remember one time I kept on saying during meditation, I am fixed design. And this person thought like it's a design that's glued to something that's fixed. Did not realize fixed design means something that's put back together that was broken. And it took this person 2 years to figure it out. Oh, I finally got what you meant by fixed design. So a lot of time we're communicating things, and people who are creative, artists, gardeners, musicians. I had an experience very recently with this woman who was a gardener in my neighborhood, and she had been creating these 3 little patches of a 5-foot sidewalk, and she was creating a tiny little sliver of the biodiversity, the beauty, the extraordinary. I was in awe of the. Every time I walk past by, I'm like, who's doing this? This is phenomenal. And I kept thinking to myself, if she has a larger piece of land, it's going to look like heaven. I don't understand. How is she doing this? And I had met her a year ago. Accidentally, she was on the sidewalk. I said, "Are you the gardener?" She said, "Yeah." I complimented her. I did not see her for the entire winter, and I just recently met with her again. And as I'm talking to her, now I realize she's one of us. She's talking about the monad. She's talking about the demiurge. She's talking about, she and I had a 45 minutes conversation on the sidewalk. She is so deep and so profound. And what she's doing with the garden, little patch, she's fulfilling her purpose. Each one of us has a different puzzle piece. And I kept complimenting her. She kept saying, I don't want to do it this year because people are letting their dog pee on it and they're stepping on the stuff and all that. I don't want to do. And I said, you absolutely need to do this, because I'm telling you right now, what it did to me is that the moment I saw it, I felt love. I felt care. Whoever is doing this is broadcasting magic. And the reason I'm saying this to you is that we broadcast that magic in multiple ways. The inner state of peace that we have within us. She's doing it through gardening. There are other people who do it with music, with art. There are other people who do. I do it by energetically taking you in meditation. When in my writing as well, I do it, but more, for most of the part, it's energetic. I had somebody years ago that was part of this a group in 2015 that I had connected with. A lot of them were doing medicine, ayahuasca and all kind of herbs, all the stuff. And I had a session with him. I was offering free session. I had a session with him. And what he said to me afterward, he said, what you did there, it will take me 10 hours of an ayahuasca ceremony. And you did it like you were breathing in less than 45 minutes. You took me to the same state that it took me so much years of. And again, when you're interpreting a piece of music, as a vocalist or an instrumentalist, it's very hard for you. Nobody will interpret it exactly in the same manner. How you interpret it depends on your own inner state. So you're going to interact with the score, the notes and everything else in a very specific way to position yourself to be able to interpret it in a manner that seems appropriate to you. So it will create an inner connection to the blessed field to you that you're now going to share with the rest of the world. It will not be identical. Each interpretation will not be identical, but it's going to create, to the first people who are hearing it, a shift in them. The same way when I'm watching Passing by the Garden, it created a transcendental shift for me. I thought this woman, whoever did this, when I saw her, I thought she was blessed. She was gifted. She's 70 years old and she's an Asian woman with gray hair. She was blessed. But other people did not see that way. They were walking on it. So how the meaning is transmitted, the only thing we can do is broadcast it and hope that it will fall or people will see or perceive it and get transmit, and it will create transcendence in them. It's not a guarantee. It's not a guarantee. If I stand at the Louvre in front of the Mona Lisa, I will have a certain kind of experience, but each person will have a unique way in which they see the artwork. Some people will be nothing to them. To other people, they will see the genius of it. So when you're communicating and broadcasting your inner state, you don't have to worry so much about making sure that people have the exact same meaning as you. They will never have it. But what you can worry about is that be clear that you know who you are. And that you're broadcasting from a state of certainty that you are, I am that I am. Any questions, any comments? All right, let's take a 5-minute break and then we'll do the closing meditation. 5 minutes. Take a very deep and slow breath. And as you inhale and exhale deeply and slowly, allow the universal life force that permeates everything to enter into your lungs. Keep breathing deeply and slowly. And let your soul and your awareness drop in the middle of your chest. Please forgive me. I love you. And I let go. Please forgive me. I love you. And I let go. Let your mind and your heart sync with each other. And notice what you noticed. And the guardian alliance of light approach you, offering to gift you their shields of light and protection, and a band of neutrality. If you are ready to accept this gift at this time, answer affirmatively. And let the energy of the first guardian begin in the core of the earth, counter-rotating. Moving to the bottom of my feet, passing through my core, exiting outside of my head, and going into the top of the fourth dimensional chakra system and create all around me. A torsion field of neutrality. I remember myself in the fourth dimension. The axis at the top of my head extends and it attracts now the energy of the second guardian, dropping down from source, rotating clockwise, coming in at the top of my fifth dimensional chakra system, going down into the top of my head, moving through my core, exiting at the bottom of my feet, and going through the core of the earth while creating all around me a torsion field of neutrality. I remember who I am in the fifth dimension. The axis at the bottom of my feet extends and it attracts now the energy of the third guardian coming in from the core of the earth, counter rotating, moving through the bottom of my feet, passing through my core, exiting outside of my head, and going into the top of the sixth dimensional body while creating all around me a torsion field of neutrality. I remember my identity in the sixth dimension. The axis at the top of my head extends and it attracts now the energy of the fourth guardian coming in from source, rotating clockwise, dropping into the top of the seventh dimensional body, passing through the top of my head, moving through my core, exiting at the bottom of my feet and going into the core of the earth while creating all around me a torsion field of neutrality. I remember myself in the seventh dimension. The axis at the bottom of my feet extends. And it attracts now the energy of the fifth guardian coming in from the core of the earth, counter-rotating. Moving through the bottom of my feet, passing through my core, exiting outside of my head, and going into the top of the eight-dimensional body while creating all around me a torsion field of neutrality. I know who I am in the eighth dimension. The axis at the top of my head extends. And it attracts now the energy of the sixth guardian coming in from source, rotating clockwise, dropping into the top of the ninth dimensional body, passing through my core, exiting at the bottom of my feet, and going into the core of the earth while creating all around me a torsion field of neutrality. The axis at the bottom of my feet extends and it attracts now the energy of the seventh guardian coming in from the core of the earth, counter-rotating. Moving through my core, exiting outside of my head, and going into the top of the 10th dimensional body, while creating all around me a torsion field of neutrality. The axis at the top of my head extends and it attracts now the energy of the 8th guardian, coming in from source while rotating clockwise, dropping into the top of the 11th dimensional body, passing through the top of my head, moving through my core, exiting at the bottom of my feet, and going into the core of the earth while creating all around me. A torsion field of neutrality. I remember my identity in the 11th dimension. The axis at the bottom of my feet extends and it attracts now the energy of the 9th guardian, counter rotating, moving through the bottom of my feet, passing through my core, exiting outside of my head, and going into the top of the 12th dimensional body while creating all around me. A torsion field of neutrality. I remember who I am in the 12th dimension. The axis at the top of my head extends and it attracts now the energy of the 10th guardian coming in from source, rotating clockwise, dropping into the top of my head, moving through my core, exiting at the bottom of my feet and going into the core of the earth while creating all around me. A torsion field of neutrality. I remember my identity in the 13th dimension. The axis at the bottom of my feet extends, and it attracts now the energy of the 11th guardian coming in from the core of the earth, counter-rotating, moving through the bottom of my feet, passing through my core, exiting outside of my head, and going into the top of the 14th dimensional body, while creating all around me. A torsion field of neutrality. I remember who I am in the 14th dimension. The axis at the top of my head extends, and it attracts now the energy of the 12th guardian coming in from source, cascading down while rotating clockwise, dropping into the top of my 15th dimensional body, and into the top of my head, passing through my core, exiting at the bottom of my feet, and going into the core of the earth while creating all around me. A torsion field of neutrality. I remember myself in the 15th dimension. I am love. I am will. I am fixed design. I am the blessed field. I am endless. I am infinite. I am fixed designed. I am that I am. I remember everything. Take a very deep and slow breath. And whenever you feel ready, you can open your eyes.
Thank you, Pierre.
You're welcome. You're welcome. That was very deep today. I want to. Yes, go ahead. I'm sorry.
I I felt the energy
Mm,
at the end there. It was just like, whew, coming into all over.
beautiful.
Oh,
You're gonna sleep well tonight.
yeah.
I want to thank you all for listening, and um, um, if you're listening to us on Patreon, thank you for your support. And for those of you who are listening to us on YouTube, blessings to all of you. Like the video, subscribe, and I will talk to you all next week. Deep love. Thank you, everyone. Good night.